Today we're going to make beef neck bones. If you want to learn how to make this delicious comfort food, make sure you stick around. For this recipe, you'll need stewed tomatoes, chicken broth, butter, bell pepper, minced garlic, black pepper, seasonal, salt, beef bouillon powder, and flour. So here I'm using 3 packs of beef neck bones. These have 5 neck bones per pack, 2 extra large potatoes, chopped celery, carrots, and onions, fresh rosemary, and thyme. First, go ahead and clean your neck bones by placing them in a bowl or strainer, and you want to rinse them really well under running water. Then after that, dry them off with a cloth or paper towel and set them aside. Now add salt, seasonal, beef bouillon, black pepper, and flour together and give it a good mix. So now go ahead and sprinkle some of the seasoned flour mixture on top of a large baking pan like this here. You can place the neck bones on top and season both sides of the meat with the flour mixture. You want to make sure that it is evenly coated. You can pat and rub the seasoned flour all over the neck bones, flip them over, and make sure that the other side is well seasoned. In a large pot on medium-high heat, add enough oil to cover the bottom layer. Then you want to drop in 4 tablespoons of butter. Let this melt down completely, and once your butter begins to cook and sizzle, add the onions, thyme, and rosemary. We're going to let this cook for about a minute. We want to give those aromatics enough time to release their flavors, and we do not want the onions to burn. So we're going to work in batches to sear the neck bones so that they'll form a nice crust. Only add enough meat that will comfortably fit in your pot. Try not to overcrowd it. You'll need to let the neck bones cook for around 3 minutes per side, flipping them only once. And remember, we're only searing the meat, okay? So we're not trying to fully cook it. We just want it to have a nice crust. So after cooking this 3 minutes per side, remove it from the pot and set it aside while you work on the remaining batches. And just a little side note, if your remaining onions in the pot are burned at this point, you can dump them out. You can add more oil, butter, and fresh onions to sear the remaining neck bones. Or if you don't want to add more onions, you can just sear it with the butter and the oil only. After all of the neck bones have been seared, return them to the pot, add the chicken broth, celery, and garlic. We're going to bring this up to temperature and let this slowly boil for 3 hours, cover with the lid. Now chop your potatoes to small chunks and dice your carrots and bell pepper if you have not done so already. We're going to add the remaining vegetables to the pot the last 20 to 30 minutes before it's done. And you want those vegetables to fall to the bottom of the pot to allow them to soften. So if the potatoes break apart, don't worry about that. That's actually going to add some body to the broth. So make sure that your potatoes are not too large when you chop them. So now we're going to make a slurry by adding some flour and water to a bowl, then mix it well. This will be our thickening agent for the broth that's in the pot. So after you add the slurry, you'll need to try and mix it in with the broth. And this might not thicken right away, but as the neck bones continue to cook, the broth should get thicker. So you'll need to watch it. If it does not get as thick as you'd like, then you can always add a little more slurry. So now add the stewed tomatoes. Make sure that you do not dump any of that liquid from the tomatoes into the can. That will totally take over the flavor in the pot, and we do not want that. But the tomatoes itself really enhance the flavors of the broth, and we do want that, okay? This part here is optional. You can add some additional onions for extra flavor. Just make sure that you move those to the bottom of the pot so that they'll get into the broth and cook, and you know that the broth will absorb all of that good flavor. And you'll need to extend the cooking time to allow the onions to soften. So you can cover this with the lid and let this slowly cook. The total cooking time for these delicious neck bones was a little over 3 hours, and this goes great served on top of a bed of rice, paired with some vegetables. These were fork tender, as you can see here, and they were so delicious. I hope that you guys will try this very easy recipe. This was our Sunday dinner and it was so delicious. And as you can see, those were not my hands. Those were my husband's hands. He made this meal and he really hooked it up. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I hope to see you in my next video.